Okay, welcome to Dharma Talk, day 4 or 5 of session here. We're in a new location because our neighbors are having a party, or just a guy in his truck, or a person in their truck. I can't lie, it's annoying. It's annoying. Usually they play it for about 20 or 30 minutes, but man, they really timed it to take the whole 2 hours right now. So thanks for being flexible. I hope that that was an interesting Zazen experience to have blaring music radiate, resonate through the Zendo. Um, Kosei said that at ZMM in New York near Woodstock, they would have rock concerts, right? And so you would have rock music, and we get norteña. So sitting with what is. That's a nice segue to talk about the Lotus Sutra, which we have been talking about this session. For those of you who are just joining us, and at home, those of you who are joining us, we're talking about the Lotus Sutra this week. The Lotus Sutra, really quickly, just to recap, is a major sutra or Buddhist text in the Mahayana tradition. Dates back to somewhere around 1 BC all the way to 4 AD, 5 AD, somewhere around there. And it's very long, very intricate, and main themes are everybody can attain Buddhahood. All paths of Buddhism are basically one and the same. Um, and also that Buddha is still alive today. That's kind of what the later chapters are about. That this Siddhartha Gautama Buddha that we know was simply just his birth was just a skillful means for the timeless Buddha to manifest for the benefit of all beings. But really, Buddha is alive today. And, so any concept of some guy back then, 2,500 years ago, who had or did something, anything special that we don't have at our fingertips today is kind of ridiculous. Um, and in Sesshin, sitting hard and long with our Sangha, we can really see that for ourselves, right? Don't take my word for it. That's kind of the point. So I'm going to thank Igo for sending me another translation. I was using one translation yesterday, but he decided to send me another one, and I said, hey, why not? Let's take a look at some other translations of this Lotus Sutra, which is very long. This is 370 pages, this one that he sent me. And I'll just continue on from yesterday. We started with chapter 3, which apparently is the chapter that gave Hakuin his huge experience enlightenment, just reading chapter 3 of the Lotus Sutra. I'm guessing he was being cheeky when he said that, but I'm sure he had some kind of deep experience reading it. So basically, he gets done talking about this parable of a burning house, and the man wants to get his kids out of the burning house, but the kids are like, oh, but it's fun in here. And they don't really care that it's burning down. And so he comes up with these skillful ways of getting the kids out. And that's the analogy of the Buddha coming up with skillful means like sesshin and Dharma talks and mantras and koans and all these things to try to get us out of the damn house. And so he'll talk a little bit about that here. So the Buddha says, the Tathagata appears in the triple world. So the Tathagata is another word for a Buddha, an awakened, enlightened being. So the Buddha appears in the triple world. That's our world. That's the samsara world. Maybe that's this world, the heavens and the hells, Or maybe it's past, present, and future. I've also heard that. I'm sure there's some more scholarly thing, but basically our life as we know it. The Buddha appears in the triple world, which is like a decaying old house on fire, to rescue sentient beings from the fire of birth, old age, illness and death, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, distress, delusion, blindness, and the three poisons of greed, hatred, and ignorance. Does anyone relate to that burning house? Yes. Okay, good. um, so yeah, this life of ours is a decaying old house on fire. Everything we love will be gone. Everything we want will be disappointing when we get it. We're deluded, we're suffering, we're sorrowful, we're anxious, greedy, hateful, ignorant. Thus, he leads and inspires sentient beings and causes them to attain highest, complete enlightenment. Does that interest you? That's a good question. You know, sometimes after decades of sitting on the ground and making sacrifices and devoting my life to this fucking Buddhism, um, does that sound good? Is that what I want? I kind of just want like ecstasy and a hot woman to cuddle with. Highest complete enlightenment. It's a really good question to ask yourself. Um, the Tathagatas see all sentient beings burning in the fire of birth, old age, illness, and death, anxiety, sorrow, suffering, and distress. If I didn't say it before, these old sutras are very repetitive. Like he'll repeat it here, and then he'll repeat the whole section again in like poetry form. I don't. I guess it's because of the prominence of oral history back then. So like repetition was like really important. So all the Buddhas see these sentient beings burning in this fire of all this terrible stuff because of the desires of the five senses and the desire for monetary profit. They also experience various kinds of suffering. The desires of the five senses. I invite you to open up to that concept during sesshin. What are my sensory desires? Because like, you know, food, sex, massages, coziness, like that's all like obvious. But what about respect? What about partisan politics? What about being understood? What about not feeling alone? These are the more subtle things that are, in a way, things we desire, sensory desires. It's easy to say, you know, a Mercedes and a big house isn't going to make you happy. But like, think about how nuanced and how deep all of our desires go. How personal they are. I want it this way. I want to understand. I want to know the truth. I want people to see me a certain way. I want people to stop seeing me a certain way. I want to see others a certain way. It really goes very deep. And it's not to say that a Buddha doesn't want any of those things, right? We're not here to like get rid of those desires. We're here to become intimate with them and see how they operate. I mean, like I said, I can spend an entire session thinking about in and out and sensual desires, but I'm getting intimate with them. I'm opening, I'm embracing, I'm learning them so that they, little by little, control me less. It's not that you just get rid of them all, but you get to kind of become the puppet master in a way. Because of sentient beings' attachment and pursuits, they experience various kinds of suffering in the present. What are your pursuits? And in the future, they will suffer in the states of existence of hell, animals, and hungry ghosts. If they are born in the heavens or in the human world, they will experience a variety of sorrows, such as suffering from poverty and destitution, separation from loved ones, or suffering from encounters with those they dislike. Do you suffer from encountering those you dislike? So yeah, he's just painting this picture of the first noble truth. To be in this human world, we're going to be suffering. That's just kind of our nature. That's karmic conditions. Although sentient beings are immersed in such sorrows, they rejoice and play. Ah, I love this. This is so twisted. Oh my God. So in the parable of the house, the owner of the house sees the house burning and he has his kids in there, and the kids are just having a grand old time. They're playing with their toys, and he's like, yo, kids, come out, the house is on fire. And they're like, nah, like, it's cool, like, we don't feel it, we have our trucks in here and we're like playing around, we're having a great time. And so that's kind of an analogy. Just think about, for those of you who have been to or seen Bourbon Street, or any party playing music next door. Here we are in this situation in a burning house where we all know that everything we love is going to die and go away. Everything we work for is going to be completely forgotten. All the things we do to take care of ourselves and our loved ones and our house, we will be gone. We will be gone. The name Donald Trump will mean nothing in the blink of an eye. No one's going to know what that means. Probably Hitler, too. Hitler maybe will show up in a very esoteric history book in 7,000 years. We barely know about Genghis Khan, and he was like way bigger than Hitler. Anyway, and yet we rejoice and play. So is this saying we shouldn't? We should never experience joy? I don't think so. But I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This whole section, the Buddha is basically saying people are suffering and they don't know it. In fact, here, I'll just read on. Although sentient beings are immersed in such sorrows, they rejoice and play. They are not aware, shocked, startled, or disgusted, nor do they seek release. Running around in the burning house of the triple world, they experience great suffering, and yet they do not realize it. Who the hell is he to be talking about other people? They're suffering so hard, but they don't realize it. And as I was reading this and thinking about it, it took me back to high school, when I was really experiencing a lot of struggle, because I was like super eager beaver about Zen and just wanted to talk about it all the time. And I would go to parties. I would go to house parties because I liked people and I liked having fun and I wanted to be cool. And standing around the keg, and I would just be like, isn't it crazy that we're doing all this work, and it all kind of doesn't really matter anyway. And people would just have zero desire. They just want to talk about like shots and like who's hot. Um, why would you want to talk about that? It has nothing to do with my life. I'm here having fun. I'm here enjoying the world. Why? What are you talking about impermanence for? What relevance does that have? And like, what an arrogant piece of whatever I would be if I was like, you guys don't get it. You're suffering and you don't even realize it. It's ridiculous. So is our job to get people to see how suffering they are? I don't know why. I don't know. I'm kind of getting in the weeds here. I just really want to share it because it's so personal for me. But when I was in high school, I went to a LAUSD public high school, but we had, at my particular school, we had this program that was a social justice program. And it was run by these like very militant, like one of the people in the grade above me was Patrice Cullors, who was one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. And it was this very militant, very experimental encounter sessions. I mean, like using very harsh tactics to awaken everybody to racism in a very rich kind of way. Anyway, I remember we did this one exercise with the whole grade, and this sweet little 15, 16-year-old Asian girl raised her hand and said, honestly, like, I have only really experienced benefit because of my race, it feels like. I get away with things. People think I don't get in trouble. Teachers always give me the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. I just kind of always feel like it's been a privilege to be an Asian girl. What bravery, right? And then all the teachers orchestrated the entire room of like 250 kids to yell and scream at this poor girl that she is oppressed and she doesn't know it. And you've just been, conditioned, and how could you say, and what about your parents and grandparents who went through, and just total, and this girl's like crying, so fragile. Everyone yelling at her, telling her, you're suffering, you don't even realize it. I wonder if she's grateful for that now, or if she's traumatized. I don't know. I don't know how that's supposed to help us in our Zazen practice, but that's what's coming up here. They don't even realize it. Oh, Shariputra, seeing these things, I think, since I am the father of sentient beings, I must rid them of their immeasurable suffering and distress. I will cause them to rejoice through the immeasurable and limitless pleasure of the Buddha wisdom. Yeah, put down your toys and follow me, kids. I'll show you real happiness. I feel like I'm not painting a great picture of this sutra right now. But that's good. That's good. What's he really getting at here? I think the way that I read this immeasurable pleasure of the Buddha wisdom, this is what we're here for, right? The immeasurable pleasure. And I think that word immeasurable is the key, right? Like, I keep using the word deepest in a lot of my talks, inspired by Zenju, Earthland Manuel. The deepest peace, the deepest happiness, the deepest awakening, the deepest pleasure is kind of like jargon for peace and pleasure and happiness that goes beyond feelings, right? Our feelings are something that we can measure, that we feel, oh, when I I'm in the sun and drinking iced tea. That feels pleasurable, more pleasurable than like freezing in the cold, having been, forgotten by my friend. It's feeling. And this immeasurable pleasure, immeasurable peace, immeasurable happiness goes beyond feeling. It includes all feeling. The Song of the Jewel Mirror Samadhi, which is famous. Is that Hakuin? Did you write that? No. No, it's older than Hakuin. An old Zen chant poem text that we read says, feelings and consciousness cannot touch it. So this immeasurable pleasure is leaving the entire house, right? Feeling good, that happens in the house. The burning walls, the decaying walls, the burning and decaying, and the foundation is, rotten, like he says in the parable. All of these feelings we pursue, these answers, these places of rest, these pursuits that we have, they all happen in this crumbling, impermanent world. And so when the Buddha says the word pleasure, I'm going to show these folks real immeasurable pleasure, it's kind of like the theme of the whole sutra. It's just a vehicle. It's an upaya, a skillful means, right? We light incense and candles and have statues and flowers and pretty yurts and gardens and, I'm like spending time stressing out about like how to install a fountain by the yurt so that we can have this pretty fountain sound. And it's all bullshit. It's all just car salesmen. It really is. All of it. The robes, the chanting, the rakusu, the rites of passage, the sutras, the chanting, the drums, the fountains, the da-da-da. It's all bullshit. Necessary bullshit to try to get us to really look at the nature of our lives. What is this pleasure that I'm pursuing? And what would it be to get in touch with this deepest, immeasurable pleasure? Peace beyond measure. Peace that includes every feeling. Peace that includes stress. Can you imagine? To be able to deeply feel the stress of losing your house, losing your government, losing your path to citizenship, losing the love of your life, and having peace within that. That is immeasurable pleasure, I think. And as long as we are trying to find that and pursue it in our burning house of impermanence and self, this little rotting self, good luck. Good luck. But with intensive practice and with all of these tools, all of this bullshit tools that we've put together, this necessary BS, I really think that we all can come face to face with that immeasurable pleasure, that peace beyond consciousness and feeling. I don't know. It makes no sense to me. Good luck. Come talk to me about it.